Hey, I'm Benny, and welcome to this series where I'll go over a small aspect of SimTutor and walk you through it, giving my tips and tricks as we go. This week, we'll look into setting up a branching scenario with SimTutor's new planning tool. I'll show you how to create steps and branches with multiple different paths and possible outcomes, and a bunch of tips along the way. Let's get started. Alright, for this video we're going to go through a branching scenario of a customer support call, and I'm just going to give you my thought processes as we create this within SimTutor. So we're just going to create the planning view version of it, so we'll just have a bit of an outline of all the things. We're not going to worry about content and media too much in this video anyway. So in a new sim, I'm just going to go to the planning view up here, and this is where we're going to put everything together. So first thing we want to do is add a step to prompt the start, so which is the customer calling us. We're going to be a customer support caller. So the customer calls us, so we can add a step by clicking onto the square and then saying customer calls. And then this is a very straightforward thing, so that's the thing that prompts you, and then the next step is going to be a decision we have to make. So we have to greet the customer. And from here, we have multiple ways we can greet them. We can give them a good greeting, like hello, how's your day, kind of thing, or what can I help you with, all those kind of things. Or we can kind of be quite blunt and cold. And all those different things are all part of the scenarios and all have different consequences in how the customer is going to react. So we can add different things for that. So for example, if we have a great response, we can think about this later once we do the actual quiz step of the greeting customer. But right now we're just kind of planning out the different branches. We have a great response, we have a good response, and we have a bad response, we'll say. And we can actually give different, like we can take them down different paths and all that kind of stuff as well. So we're going to add more branches on this greet the customer step, so we can account for the 3 different responses. So we add more branches by clicking on the add more branches here, and then we can just click and drag this and move it into the move the arrows to the correct square. So a good response might not be a red, it might be a good rather than a bad. So that's fine. And we may accept the good response as well. So for example, the next step here, which once you've done the great response, you'll go down to here. The good response might be sufficient as well to go to that next step as well. It's just not as good, but that's fine. Whereas a bad response might result in the customer hanging up. So in that case, you could have an end here step, so you could say customer hangs up, and then you can end the sim there, so they're basically finished before they started. May not be the best idea because they'll have to go through and get the sim sorted again. So what we can do is just drag them back to here. We can basically on this step explain to them why they did it wrong and what the consequences were. Then they'll be like, we'll give you another try, so they can get back, follow this arrow, and restart this thing again. Just real quick with this customer calls, we need to make sure this arrow is pointing to the next step, obviously, because otherwise it just kind of sits there without anything. And yeah, so that's the real basics of a branching scenario. And you can do the same thing with going down and having more questions and more branches and everything. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a quick little example of that, and I'll talk to you in a second. Alright, so I've just added a couple more steps, and again we're keeping this one pretty short just for the sake of this video. So once we've done this great or good response, we go down and the customer gives us the issue. And from there, this will be another like quiz step or whatever you want it to be in terms of SimTutor, but right now it's just a planning step with the branches. You can give them a solution. So you can ask your learner, basically, if this is what the customer comes up with, this is what they ask, what solution would you give them? And then there'll be like a list of 3 solutions where one of them maybe is the no solution or something. And then depending on which one your learner chooses is the best thing to say, they go down a different branch. So they say solution 2, they say, and that doesn't work. So the customer comes back and says, this didn't fix my problem. or this isn't what I was after, and then it branches back to this, because again they will have that same situation where they will have to try again. So in real life situation, if your solution doesn't work, you try another one, or you give them, I don't know what to do, and then that's obviously not good. No one's happy. You can branch from no solution and go down and have unhappy customer, or if the right solution is given and the problem is resolved, it goes down to the happy customer and then the goodbye. So again, these are all just planning steps within SimTutor, and that means that they don't have media or any function just yet. But you can change any of these to videos, cover steps, quiz steps, so interactive or not interactive steps that allow you to use these branching features to create this multiple scenario kind of thing. And it really helps the learner understand if they get something wrong, they understand why it's wrong, because they go down that path and then experience the consequences of their actions, and that is a really, really key element to learning. So in the future, I'm going to be covering more about translating these planning tool steps into actual media and physical things, but for now we're going to leave it just like that. If you have any questions about what we covered in this video or anything else at all, just email us at info@simtutor.com, and we'll see you next time.